Well, hey there, happy day 692 of What's She Up To Now. She, S-H-E, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, also known as Pajama Grandma, in one of my favorite pair of pajamas today, in case you're just listening to my voice. They are kind of a soft, fleecy, looks like I can't read it, but it looks like it's maybe a gray recipe with little gingerbread boys in red and white striped outfits and caps, and it's very Christmassy, very festive, very this time of year pajamas, and they're one of my favorite pair. I just pulled them out for the season. I like to pack certain things away for different seasons, and these are in my Christmas season bag because they make me feel happy and festive, and they remind me that I better get cracking on those Christmas cookies. So decision making. I'm thinking about decision making today, and most people, and me included, are absolutely positively dreadful at making decisions and making a choice. If you ask anybody what do they want, the vast majority of people cannot even tell you what they want for supper, much less what they want in life. I go through streaks of that as well. As I think it's human nature to, we always want a gazillion things, but what do we really want? We can't necessarily define that for people. But I'm thinking about decision making today because, as you know, I've been going through a Field of Favor 7-day challenge, and of course yesterday was the big webinar sales presentation, and as many of these as I sit through and go through, whenever someone as skilled as Jason Flatian is doing a webinar, the webinar king of all kings, of course he's answered all my objections, and I want to say yes. I also know that it might not be in my best interest at this time to say yes. It might be, but it might not. They do an incredible job of doing all the things that you should do to convince somebody that this is the right thing for them to do right now. But I always revert to my ghetto or hippie decision-making strategy that I learned from my dad as a little girl, and that is, of course, the plus or minus strategy, where when you're having a hard time trying to decide on something, decide on anything. And I've used this for all types of decisions in my life, decisions about businesses, decisions about whether I should marry my ex-husband or not. Obviously, I didn't do the best job with my decision-making tree because I married him, and 25 years later we got divorced. So maybe I didn't do the best job. Maybe my plus and minus was a little bit skewed by emotion and other things that I wasn't aware of back then. So I love this. I love this decision-making strategy because guess what? Anybody can do it. You can do it in your head, but it's a lot more powerful if you actually take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle or fold it in half and put a plus on one side and a minus on the other side, and then start brainstorming all the reasons to do something, all the reasons not to do it, all the reasons to say yes, all the reasons to say no, all the things that are for you for doing it, all the things that are against you for doing it, all of the things that you'll gain by doing it, all the things that you'll have to give up on or not do by doing it, all the things you'll gain by not doing it, all the things you'll give up or miss out on it by not doing it. And you just plus or minus, what are the advantages and disadvantages of any choice or decision I'm making? You can do this with something as simple as, where am I going to go for dinner tonight, or what am I going to make for supper? And once you get in the habit of doing it with little decisions, it becomes automatic. It's only for the big things now that I will actually sit and write down on a piece of paper plus or minuses for any given decision or choice. Any decision that is not life or death or super important or about my personal development and growth and moving me toward my big goal in life, those are automatic. They're decided in less than 60 seconds because my brain automatically does this plus or minus thing in my head, almost at a subconscious level. Now it's become so habitual that I just decide I'm going to make a decision in 60 seconds on this or less, and I just decide, especially things that aren't that important. Does it matter what I eat for dinner tonight? I mean, really, does it matter? In the overall scheme of my life, no, right? It doesn't matter what I eat for dinner. Now, again, we could take that long-term or short-term, and I do this at a subconscious level. If I eat chips for dinner every night, what's going to happen? I'm going to drop dead. How do I know? I did that. I used to eat jalapeno chips and Diet Pop. I lived on that for about 7 or 10 years when I was running through my life and doing other things that were super duper stressful, and realized that that would be a bad long-term decision. So that's in my subconscious that I don't do that anymore. So most decisions, the vast majority of the decisions I make now are 60 seconds or less, and I automatically go through this plus or minus scenario in my head, in my subconscious, and then I just decide. For bigger things, for deciding, am I going to invest a couple $1,000s in a training program, I'm going to actually write that down. You may or may not be in a position where you need to write a decision like that down. Right now where I am in my life, time is more valuable to me than money. So I really need to think about, do I have the time to devote to and commit to this? Is it something I need right now? And I'll ask myself other questions as I'm going through the plus or minuses of this. The bottom line is, get quick, get fast at making decisions. Pick a tool, a go-to tool that you can use, a default tool, no matter what. You can make it a complicated decision-making process. There's some projects, and in corporate America, I taught and had these huge decision-making processes. How important is it? How urgent is it? Rated on a scale of 1 to 10. And we did all these convoluted ways of deciding things. All that did was slow down how we made a decision. It would take, in corporate America, sometimes it took us months, if not a year or more, to make big decisions. That is why it is so easy to compete with big corporations, because you can make a decision like that. It takes them months or years. So get good at decision making. You don't have to use plus or minus. I mean, I love my dad, and I thank him every day for having taught me this and having me learn it as a child, so that now it's just inherent in my nature, and I just automatically go to my plus or minus, and figure out how to quickly and easily make decisions based on the benefits and the disadvantages of doing certain things or behaving certain ways. It lets me look into the future at possible outcomes and possible scenarios very, very quickly. But pick something that works for you. I'm actually going to be doing this today because I probably shouldn't, but I'm probably going to watch that webinar again just because it's so awesome and so fascinating. And then weigh the benefits and the investment. Now, notice how well they've already trained me. I don't think of things as cost and benefits anymore. I think of them as investments and benefits. It's not costing me $2,000 to do this. It's an investment into myself and my long-term success. Now, how is that for changing the way we see things, changing the way we describe things, changing the way we think of things? It's actually brilliant. Excuse me, I think I'm catching my granddaughter's cold. She was sick yesterday. I suspect she'll be sick today. Which means I'll probably get sick too, but I'm not envisioning that. I'm envisioning perfect health over the holidays. So, decision making. I would love to know what you use as your go-to decision making tool. Do you have one? If you do, please share it in the comments below. I would love to know. If you don't, I'm going to highly recommend just start doing a plus or minus and writing it down. The big things, write it down, and you can always burn it or throw it away so people don't see it if you don't want them to know. I'll never forget, my ex-husband found the one I did, the plus or minus about whether I should marry him or not, and he actually got mad. He got really mad, and I don't even know why. It was somewhere that he found it, but I remember he found it, and he was like, "You actually did this on me?" And I'm like, yes, I did. But he was mad that about some of the things on the list, and I'm like, well, it's how I see it. It's not how you see it. It's how I see it. So that's kind of a funny story. BP Challenge today was about process ownership and process responsibility, and then delegating that, and the difference between assigning a task to someone or assigning a process to someone and delegating that process to someone. Assigning a task means you just hand it off to them, and they may or may not actually do it. Delegating means you get their commitment. They buy in to say, yes, I own this, I am responsible for this, I will own and be responsible for this particular process. That means they're responsible for taking action on it and managing the whole thing, right? Sight for sore eyes was the topic of Supersize Your Business, which my eyes are really sore, so I think that's probably why I opened to that page and picked that idiom today. But talked about a sight for sore eyes and how that plays out in our personal life as well as our business life, and how we can use it to be a sight for sore eyes to the people that we serve and love and care about. And if we are the example for them, if we are a sight for sore eyes, that means they're happy and delighted in it to see us. So that's why I always say, be the example, not the warning. Warnings, people are not happy to see. It isn't a pleasant surprise. But examples, people are always happy to see great examples of achievement that they too want to achieve, or people returning home. So Sight for Sore Eyes was all about for the supersizing your business piece. Deciding my direction for 2020, which is again a sight related thing. There's a lot of people talking about 2020 and sight and vision and things. Next year will be a big year for that. I already anticipate that, given what's been going on at the end of this year, if you watch any of that. And I actually probably should really jump on that bandwagon, since the vision is my biggest challenge, and our challenge is the way, and I should be more forthright with my vision challenges and how I compensate for them. And that might be in my field of favor. That might be the narrow slice that I start actually addressing and working toward. Haven't made that commitment yet. I said I would by the end of the challenge, so I need to hop on that and make that decision today, and choose, just pick and go for it, because that has been one of my biggest holdouts and challenges. And I learned during this challenge that that comes from a lack and scarcity and fear-based thinking standpoint, and I definitely don't want to be modeling or being an example of that for other people. So that's it. That's all I've got today. I suspect I'm going to have a sick 4-year-old on my hands in a few minutes, so I am going to go get prepared for that and just do some stuff around here before I need to start the rest of my day. If I can help you in any way, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow, day 693 tomorrow, of What's She Up To Now. What am I doing as I transition from the brick and mortar world of real businesses in corporate America to the online world of business, so that I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want, wearing whatever I want. If I want to show up in my cute pajamas, then I get to show up in my cute pajamas. I don't have to meet other people's expectations and rules for me, or for what's right for me, or proper behavior, or what's expected. Sometimes it's fun to just be yourself. No, not sometimes. It's always fun to just be yourself, and that is a sight for sore eyes. That is the unexpected. That is modeling for other people, because guess what? If I show up as who I uniquely am, that automatically gives other people permission to show up as who they are. And what feels better, what makes us happier and less stressed than actually being accepted and being allowed to be who we are? Now, the only person that has to really allow that or accept it is us. And once we realize that, everything changes. That's it. Have a great day. I'll, of course, see you tomorrow.